call the meeting to order, the select board of Thursday, March 27th, and we're going to start with, right now we have Alec Rich via Zoom, we have Roger Marsan and myself, and we're going to start with a pledge of allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I want to thank you all for being patient with this. I'm going to start off with something that was not on the agenda because it just happened. A lot of you know that my daughter is in the READS program in the school, and one of the teachers sadly passed away last week. Andrew Kemp passed away unexpectedly, leaving behind his wife, two beautiful young daughters, Elena and Sabrina. Andrew was a devoted father, loving husband, a passionate sportsman. He worked for the READS program, as I said, for the deaf students. He made a lasting impact. He had been my daughter's teacher, one of her teachers, for about 10 years. I've known him since he was in high school. Again, 34 years old. It was just a terrible tragedy, and there is a GoFundMe that I will put on my Facebook page, so it's Vote Hornsby for that. I'll put that up there. I just wanted to acknowledge his service to the town and these kids. He was a really great guy. Okay, so we're going to move on to the appointment of Robert Lovinger to the Norton Cultural Council. Hey Robert, how are you?
Good evening, thanks.
So, I think Roger had a great question earlier. You want to re-ask?
Yeah, I asked, why do you want to be on the Cultural Council?
That's a great question. As I mentioned, my wife Nina and I have lived in Norton for almost 16 years. I'm a passionate believer in the arts and a believer in the power of the arts to bring people together. One of the main functions of the Cultural Council, of course, is to give out grants to local artists and arts organizations, and I think I bring some experience to that. I'm retired now, but for the last 14, 15 years of my career, I was a grant writer and then a grants manager for lifespan hospitals in Rhode Island, Rhode Island Hospital, Hasbro Children's Hospital, etc. I've written 2 grants for the Senior Center here to raise some money, and I'm currently involved in reviewing grant proposals with AARP Massachusetts on a volunteer basis, as a volunteer. And so I'm hoping I can bring some value to the Cultural Council's work with that.
Excellent.
Well, thank you for your service.
Absolutely.
Oh, my pleasure.
Alec, do you have any questions?
I did not.
Okay. He said he did not, for those who can't hear. All right. So without any further questions, I'll take a motion.
Make a motion that we appoint Robert Lovinger to the Norton Cultural Council.
I'll make it easy. I'll second. All in favor? We have to roll call. Alec?
Yes.
Roger?
Yes?
And I am a yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, next up we have the appointment of the new building commissioner, Edward Bailey.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Town Manager.
Ed is a resident of Attleboro, and he's certified building official, currently the building commissioner for the town of Halifax. He's 25 years of experience in the construction field and 4 years of experience as a building official. And recently he instituted online permitting using OpenGov in Halifax, and it's the same system we use here. So, and one of the things I like from Ed is that his motto is treat everyone the same. So,
I like that motto. All right, any questions?
So again, why Norton?
It's much closer than Halifax.
Honest answer, I love that.
It's a busier town. There seems to be more growth, more happening here. I need to stay busy during the day.
Sure. And you live next door, you live in Attleboro, you said?
Yes.
Do you have a a preference for your start date on this? It says it'll be effective April 10th unless we decide to have you start sooner.
I think we're looking to push that out till just after April vacation. That way I can give Halifax a few more weeks and kind of square everything away there. And then I had a previously planned vacation over the school holiday.
Do you have a date?
April 28th.
April 28th.
That's the Monday after the election.
So the motion should be effective April 28th? Yes. All right, Alec, any questions? I'm looking at the laptop that he's going to answer me face to face.
He said no.
Okay. I didn't hear.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Marson,
I make a motion that we appoint Edward Bailey as the building commissioner effective April 28th.
and I second. Alec? Roger,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Congratulations, we look forward to you coming on.
Thank you. I look
Thank you.
forward to the opportunity.
Yep.
You want to hold off on the minutes?
Yeah, we'll hold up on the minutes. We're gonna go right to the, let's see, the one-day beer and wine license. I'm gonna, Mr. John said,
C Inspire.
okay, it's written here. Okay, C Inspire Events LLC for a public event at 4 Mansfield Ave, Norton, Mass. from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. on Friday, March 28th, 2025. Whew, kind of close. And just give us a quick background on it. I'll be
Sure.
there.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Camille Smalls. I'm the owner of C Inspired Events LLC and the new owner of the Old Norton Public Library that is right down the street at 4 Mansfield Ave. Tomorrow is our grand opening from 12 to 8 p.m., hence the licensure for Wednesday special liquor license. So I believe a lot of you are from Norton, so if you're not, just a little quick history about the building. It was built in 1887 by Mrs. Eliza B. Wheaton, and hence Wheaton College decided to name the college after her. And then it had a grand opening February 1st, 1888. And from 1888 to 1989, it became the Norton Public Library, and then it just sat there for 32 plus years until Chris Pernock, Kyle Pernock, Al Smith, Nick Lance, myself, Camille, my husband, Ron, decided to renovate, beautify it, and give something for the town of Norton, especially the college kids who are excited to come over and just enjoy the college student life, and then events, weddings, birthdays, graduations, networking events, luncheons. So it's something that's for the community that I'm excited to bring here to the town.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, thank you.
We don't have to open a public hearing for this. We can just vote on that.
Yeah, we can just vote on this.
All right.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Marson,
I make a motion that we vote to approve the one-day beer and wine license to, whatever
See
that is.
Inspire Events.
Exactly. LLC for a public event at 4 Mansfield Avenue, Norton, from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. on Friday, March 28th.
I'll second that. Alec? Roger?
Yes?
And I'm a yes.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, we're gonna go to the public hearing, so I need to open that public hearing.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Marson,
I make a motion that we open a public hearing on the petition of Mass Electric doing business as National Grid and Verizon to locate poles, wires, fixtures, including the necessary sustaining and protecting fixtures along and across the following public way: Pleasant Street. National Grid to install one JO pole on Pleasant Street. National Grid proposes to install a new 40-foot C2 riser pole, pole 6-50, approximately 20 feet away on 41 Pleasant Street.
I'll second that. Alec? Roger?
Yes?
And I'm a yes. Okay, public hearing is open. So, Mike, do we have somebody on for this?
Yeah, Mike Amaral, I believe, from National Grid is on. Mike, are you on?
I find it helps if you look at the laptop.
What's that? Oh.
owner of 41 Pleasant Street, not National Grid, but if that does anything.
Well, your address is right in the motion, so I'd say that you would have some say in it. Yeah.
I'll tell Charlene to admit him again. She did admit him, and then and I can explain some of it too.
Yeah, while he's logging on, do you want to go through it, Mike, after you text her?
If the owner wants to come up.
Yeah, you're welcome to come, if you'd like.
So, public hearing, come on up.
No pressure. We're a tough crowd.
Yeah, I can tell.
Do you want to just let us know about what's going on?
Sure. My name is Blake Cunningham, owner of 41 Pleasant Street, EES Realty Group LLC. The pole is to be installed so that we can have 2 EV charging stations added in the parking lot of 41 Pleasant Street. And National Grid will be the utility provider of that, and Innovis will be the contractor to install the EV station after the pole is installed.
Okay. Seems pretty straightforward. Mike, do you want to add anything?
Nope, he said,
Is, here, I'm just looking up where 41 Pleasant Street is.
Is Mike on now? Or is it Mike?
I'll show you. 41 Pleasant Street is,
Oh, it's the old Precourt lumber building.
Yes.
And is the pole gonna be out at the street or on the property, or?
On the street. I can't speak exactly to the location,
Mm-hmm.
but on the street, on the property.
there's the location.
Yeah, we have that here too. Okay, is he on, does he want to add anything? No, okay. Alex, do you have any questions? Okay. Roger?
I don't have any more questions, no.
All right, then so then we would close the public hearing and then.
Mr. Chair,
discuss and vote. Go ahead, Mr. Marson.
I make a motion that we close the public hearing on the petition of Massachusetts Electric Company doing business as National Grid, discussing the pole on Pleasant Street.
I'll second that. Alec? Roger?
Yes?
And I'm a yes. Now, as to approving this petition, if there's any discussion, we can have that now, or I'll take a motion.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Marson.
I make a motion that we approve the petition for Mass Electric to erect the pole on the following public way: Pleasant Street, National Grid, that 1JO pole on Pleasant Street to install a new 40-foot C2 riser pole, pole 6-50, approximately 20 feet west of pole 7 at 41 Pleasant Street.
I'll second that. Alec? Roger?
Yes?
And I'm a yes. All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right, we're gonna go back to the approval of minutes.
Mr. Chair,
Actually, yeah, Mr. Marson.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes of the executive session on October 10th, 2024.
That's right, yeah. Do you want to hold off on those until you have 5 members?
What's that?
Yeah, let's hold
The
let's hold
executive
off on
session?
that. Yeah, the executive ones.
All right.
Yeah.
It's only been since October.
Yeah, what's one more meeting? Then we can go to announcements.
So for announcements today, I have Norton Cleanup Day, Saturday, April 5th, 2025. You can check in from 9 to 10 a.m. at Town Hall and clean up from 10 to 1 p.m. Volunteers are needed to help collect trash from Norton's busy streets. Brought to you by Norton's Highway, Conservation, and Park and Recs Department, along with Norton Veteran Services and the Select Board. There'll be a free barbecue afterwards at Bog Iron Brewery.
All right.
The only other announcement that I have is just a reminder that Election Day is coming up on Saturday, April 26th from 8 to 5 p.m. here at the Town Hall.
Careful, Mike.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, next up we have the fire chief is here, so Chief Simmons is going to discuss the civil service hybrid model.
Good evening.
Welcome.
So the town manager just asked me to kind of go over that new hybrid model with you all today. So last November, the state signed into law economic development bill, and contained in that bill was some provisions to reform civil service in certain areas. The main area for us to utilize this would be their new hybrid or alternate pathway model, which would, I'll explain what it does in a second, but in order for us to even utilize this model, we need to have a signed MOA between the HRD Civil Service Unit and us, as well as hiring policies that they approve. The hiring policies, they require us to adhere to basic common sense stuff, but adhere to basic merit principles, recruiting, considering candidates from diverse backgrounds, anti-nepotism, anti-patronage, anti-favoritism, and that sort of thing. So we did submit for those for the fire department. I don't want to speak for the police, but I believe they've submitted for it also. And on March 11th, we did get approved to utilize the hybrid system through civil service. So what that means for us is that allows us to hire 50% of our candidates from outside of the traditional civil service system that we've been utilizing since the late 50s, I think it was.
Yeah.
Right. So this allows us to hire different candidates. As you know, it's been difficult to hire paramedics. So if we don't get paramedics within the civil service system, we can hire 50% if we can find them outside of the traditional list-based system that we utilize. Other than that, the candidates still have to meet all the requirements from Mass General Law, Chapter 31, although that's a civil service law. So it's still the age restrictions, the residency requirements, the medical exams, physical agility test, all that stuff still pertains to anybody that we hire through their alternate pathway model. Once we hire candidates through that system, they become civil service employees. They fill out an application to the civil service, and they automatically get made civil service employees, so they're the same category as all of our current employees. Same pay, everything's the same. Nothing changes as far as that goes. Within 12 months of us hiring them, they have to successfully complete the fire academy and become certified firefighters. That's nothing different than what currently been doing. The agreement's good for 5 years. 6 months before that 5 years is up, we can renew it for another 5 years, as long as we're compliant with that 50% percentage that we're required to do. So they also provide us with annual reports and periodic audits, and they can audit our stuff obviously at any time from the hiring process. So, any questions?
My question is, I know there was an attempt to get out of civil service.
Yeah.
Is this going to impact that, or are you still going to?
This is totally separate, like a total separate thing.
Yeah.
Than that. So this actually came from this just started in February. I think February 20th. Myself, the police chief, and town manager went to an informational session about this. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of people there.
Yeah.
But this is a completely separate thing from that. So it's definitely a step in the right direction, and gives us a little bit more latitude to try to find the qualified candidates. So
Okay.
it'll certainly help a little bit.
Excellent.
So.
Chief, could you just mention how, if you're able to hire the people that you are able to hire, how that affects your budget?
Yeah, so, kind of like, for example, we currently have 2 openings right now. So whenever we're down positions, that increases the need for overtime. Generally, it'll drop by 1 or 2 positions before we have to actually hire in for somebody for that shift. So not being able to hire somebody, so for example, we're down 2 people. That's been since September. We just about 10 days ago called for our 3rd paramedic list. First 2 times we didn't get anybody to sign up. This last time we got 2 people to sign up. One of them's over the age of 32, so they're disqualified because Norton has the strictest of the 3 age requirements. So
Is that Norton or civil service?
So there's 3 civil service age requirements. One is you can't be over 32 at the time of the exam. There's one that says you can't be over 32 at that latest date to apply for the exam. That's the one that we have. And then the 3rd option is no age requirement at all. So whenever the town voted in way back in the day, that's what everybody voted for. So that's where we're at with that.
All right. And just one other thing, have you, I know you said that you have somebody that you're looking at already. Are you, is there any holdup just to start moving forward and start hiring now?
No, being authorized to do this, we could hire somebody tomorrow through that pathway.
So this is,
Separate, I have to request a separate requisition for civil service.
mhm.
So matter of fact, we have interviews scheduled in a couple of weeks from now. But let's say we hire one person in the system, one person outside of the system, I have to do two separate requisitions, and give them all the paperwork for each, and the candidate pool list and that sort of thing, so we're ready to utilize that system.
Well, I hope this helps you there.
Yeah, me too. I think,
Yeah, it sounds like it will.
we have several people that applied through the online portal for our application process. Unfortunately, 4 of them were over the age restriction, so we have to disqualify them based on that. But it looks like we have some decent candidates to interview.
Excellent.
We're pretty excited about that.
Excellent.
Yeah. So.
All right, do you need anything on our end? Do you need us to vote?
No, I
this
just
in,
want to
or
make you
just-
aware,
Okay.
if there's any questions, anybody from the town has any questions, they're always welcome to give me a call or stop by the station. At any time, I'm happy to sit with them and answer any questions at all.
All right. Excellent, thank you, Chief.
Yeah, no problem.
Appreciate it.
I think he's up with the next one too.
Oh, yeah.
This will be quick, I promise.
Okay, yeah. Go ahead.
So the next thing is our ambulance billing contract is coming up. It's expires the end of June. We did an RFP for that. We got one person that bid for it. That's EMS Pro Solutions. They're the ones that had our current ambulance billing contract. They've been doing a great job. We have, we'd like you to accept the contract and authorize the town manager to sign. I'm happy to answer any questions about that if you'd like. Well,
Okay. Yeah, it looks straightforward to me, so,
Yeah.
Roger, any?
I don't have any questions.
Alec, any questions?
I do not, if the chief blesses it,
So Mike, do you need us to just approve this, or do you need us to approve you to do something?
To approve it and authorize me to sign it.
Okay. Mr. Chair,
Mr. Marson?
I make a motion that we approve the ambulance billing contract for fiscal year '26 and approve the town manager to sign it.
I'll second that. Alec? Roger?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. All right.
Well, thank
All
you very
right,
much.
thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming in. Okay, now discussion regarding 185 Washington, multifamily development. Ms. Eunice, do you want to open this up?
Sure. Matt Watsky represents the developer and met with the departments in town to discuss this proposal for 40B development on where the rodeo used to be on North Washington Street, and by North Washington.
That didn't take long.
495.
Good evening, members of the board. I'm Matthew Watsky. Thank you, Mike. I'm the lead environmental regulatory and land use counsel for the developer, 2085 Washington LLC. Mike, if you could pull up the concept plans that we've provided. As Mike just said, it's a 69-acre parcel that is where the rodeo is now and extends all the way over to Goodwin Drive. So most of the acreage is basically fronting on 495, and then the property loops all the way back over to Goodwin Drive. The concept plan would locate 4 buildings with a total of 216 units. If we can point those out, Mike, that's on the right-hand side of that.
Yeah, share the screen with you, so
Yeah,
people at home can see.
Let's wait for the plan to come up. So the conceptual plan, this is the perfect sheet to use for now. The conceptual plan is to take the larger scale buildings, which are the buildings on the lower right-hand side of this. Those are facing 495 and are the furthest away on the site from any existing homes. That would be 216 apartment units that would remain rental. So, the way 40B works is that if you have a rental community, you don't just get credit towards your affordable numbers of the 25%, you get credit for 100% of the apartment units towards your affordable numbers in town. And then to the left of that
There you go. Into that section, you have the one larger building, that's a senior housing condominium apartment building with 32 units surrounded by 36 condominium townhomes. So the lower scale buildings would be the ones that would be closest to any residential neighbors while still maintaining a vegetated buffer between the project and those homes. And then with access coming off of Goodwin Drive, where you have existing houses on Goodwin Drive, the proposal is to have 28 single-family homes that be accessed off of Goodwin. So the net of it, with this project being located in an area of the town where really the largest portion of the property is fronted by 495, is to provide this new housing, and the net of it for purposes of 40B is that the town right now is less than 1 full percentage above the 10% criteria. This would give you a credit of 230 new affordable units, which works out to a growth of your market rate homes in town of 2,300 homes. I think the town right now is listed as having 6,800 single-family homes, so that would give you a buffer that's more than 1/3 of your existing housing stock. That ought to last 10, 20 years at least. So we've met with the department heads and with Mike. We've gotten a good bit of sort of technical feedback. There's a lot of engineering yet to be done. We understand that. The intention at this point was to prepare and file the request for the mass housing eligibility letter, which then the Board of Selectmen, the Select Board, would be given the opportunity to provide comment on that. We wanted to get ahead of the curve, present you folks with the information. If you had additional input that you wanted to give us, we welcome that, but we didn't want it to come as a surprise to you that there was a 40-week application that came in. So that's why we're here today.
Okay. All right, thank you for that. Roger, do you have any questions at this point?
Not at this time. I just got this today, so I want to take some time to look through it. So there might be some questions that I have at next time we come together.
That'd be fine. And if you want to forward questions to us through Mike, we can respond in writing, or if you want to invite us back to another meeting, be glad to do that.
Yeah, I saw a sneak peek of this last week. So, Alec, do you have any questions?
I don't, I just saw it this afternoon as well, so.
Okay.
And I review it and develop it.
Okay. We'll take one question from the audience.
As most people know, I've been dealing with 40Bs for the past 28 years in town. First I've heard of it tonight. I'm sitting here for another reason, as you know. I'm coming in for another purpose. This town has been inundated with 40Bs for a number of years. I recently looked up as an example the MBTA overlay of the 177 communities involved. Only 52 have exceeded the 10% goal of affordable housing. I know we're just barely over 0.1, was 0.2, but we've reached our required 10% of affordable housing. The impact this will have on our community will be devastating. The water impact, the schools, it will never generate enough money to create any kind of buffer for the expenses that will incur in that. And the other issue I have had with 40Bs, and I'm not taking anything away from this developer, I know they're trying to do the right thing here, but this is a very large project, the biggest one I've ever seen. And I guess my question to you guys would be, where we've already reached that 10% goal, why do we even have to consider another 40B project? My understanding has been always that once we reach the goal, we've reached the goal. So I know we can go beyond that. I know there are cities that probably have 14, 15, 16%. I know you can go beyond 10%. This town has spent hundreds of thousands of dollars over the years arguing and fighting over these projects. And I can't even imagine the neighborhood over there and what's gonna happen when they come out, when they find out about this. I would encourage the board to make sure everyone is properly notified over there of what the intentions are. The impact on traffic on that small rural South Washington Street, North Washington Street, will be pretty devastating. And I know they have to go through the whole process. I know they have to go through all the legal mumbo jumbo, traffic studies, impacts, you know. I'm sure there's some conservation land out there will be impacted by it all. But if they were talking about 100 units of affordable housing, I guess I would have stayed in my chair. But when you look at the scope and the size of this, you've got to pay attention to this.
Yeah, so Mr. Kimball, at this point, it's just a concept, and I agree with a lot of what you said. But at this point, it's a concept, and I believe they're, once they come back with something more solid, we'll get into all of that for sure.
And I understand.
And that's the reasoning. I think I didn't have any questions. I'm sure. I don't want to speak for anybody else, but
No, I want to study it and digest
Yeah.
all the information that they've given us
Yeah.
tonight.
Well,
it's
in the area of transparency, I would encourage you to make sure that everybody's aware of what the process is.
oh, absolutely.
There's no-
All right, thank you.
I think just to echo that, Mr. Kimball, I think this meeting tonight is part of that transparency. This is the first that I've heard of it, and we're trying to get the information out the best we can.
Yep, absolutely. All right. Any discussion on that? Yeah, come on. Just say your name and address.
Yeah. My name is Ken Sikora. I currently don't live in Norton. I used to own what used to be 3 Essex Street. It's that kind of hourglass-shaped, slightly darker gray area south of the Goodwin portion of that lot. I currently, or my wife and I currently own what is shown on town maps, GIS maps, as lot 152-04. It's kind of the bigger blob of gray that sticks out into the white area that between Goodwin Drive and where the rodeo used to be. Back in...
Mr. Chairman, could I?
Mr. Enos, go ahead.
We're kind of getting down into the weeds here. I mean, this isn't a presentation to the planning or zoning board. We're just talking about concepts, and it sounds like we're kind of getting...
What I'm trying to do is establish that I do have interest in here. I was a previous landowner and I'm current landowner to what abuts this property.
Okay, we'll just let us know your comments on it.
Okay. The orange or red dashed lines at the very edge of the gray slot that goes in there actually crosses onto that property that I currently own, my wife and I currently own. I just wanted to make it aware that there are some questions about this, that when the surveying was done, the original survey done in 1978 showed the correct plot lines, but then when it was redone in 1997, there was a slight change that shifted it about 30 feet onto our lot. We had RIM Engineering resurvey the property last year, 2023, and they did validate, it's shown on the maps, that they filed a new town map, new map for that, that shows that it does actually encroach into our property. I just want to make aware that before things get too far along in this process, that there is some contention about that roadway that would connect the southern portion, the old rodeo line, up to Goodwin Drive, that crosses land that potentially is not, it's in contention, is all.
Okay. Yeah, and there will be plenty more public hearings and meetings on this as well, that we could go through that, and the planning board will take that up directly, I'm sure.
Okay, I mean, I assume it's going to be a public road, public street in the town of Norton to support something like this, and I think Norton needs to be fully aware of any contentious issues regarding the
Absolutely.
ownership and property of that
Absolutely.
access road.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming, I appreciate that. Okay, anyone else? Okay, we're gonna move on next to the presentation from the Traffic Safety Committee on the options for the town center. And we're not voting on these tonight, this is just what the options are for the town center to be presented.
Bob Kimball, Chair of the Traffic Safety Committee. So you gentlemen all had copies of this report. We had a draft copy of it at the meeting about a month ago. This one is the final presentation, so. Not sure exactly what you want to get into here, but there are three options that we're looking at. And for those that don't know, we're talking about the center of town, Mansfield Ave, Taunton Avenue, East and West Main Street, Route 140, 123. The realignment of that town center, which has been a major problem in town for many years. You can see it from the original slide there. That's basically the way it looks today. The turn-in area to the, when you're coming down Mansfield Avenue, going, say, toward East Main or down Taunton Avenue, has a major impact on the intersection. And it's been a slow spot for many years. We finally got traffic lights put in there years ago, but unfortunately that system seems to be outdated. It doesn't seem to work the way it should. So we presented with three options. Mike, I don't know if you want to put them up there or not, but I can go over them briefly on each one. We have a lot of information, a lot of traffic studies, a lot of stuff that's been done over the years. Taking information from three different projects we've done in the past to look at it. So the alternatives are pretty much straightforward, and it's stuff that we've discussed before as a community, as far as trying to get it straightened out. Option, alternate number one, allows the traffic to go to the right of the Unitarian Church, take out a rather modern home behind it, in one of the school buildings, school housing facilities for Wheaton College. That option is probably takes more taking the property than any other, but at the same time it does pretty much keep the center intact as far as any of the other egress or anything else on the property. As you can see, the Wheaton House, taking the front end of it, we come back out just beyond the old town hall in that area. The cost of this is about $70 million, and it's probably of the three alternatives, it's probably the most expensive. However, the state has indicated that because of the takings and all of that, for the most part, the state will more than likely pay for most of that cost that we incur through any kind of acquisition of property. Can we get option two?
Mike, hit the plus button. The magnifying glass with plus at the bottom. 2 over.
Nope, back.
Yep.
Thanks.
That one, hit that.
Oh, is that what you were saying? I'm sorry, I thought you wanted to speak.
I want to see the whole thing in one shot.
No, not tonight, sorry guys.
All right. Which option now?
Option, alternate number 2.
Mr. Kimball, is this available online yet, anywhere?
No.
Okay. Would you like us to put it up somewhere, or do you want to wait?
No, I think the town should put them up. Town manager has the information, and obviously it should be out there where people can see it.
Okay, so Mike, can we make sure that gets put up? Okay, sorry, go ahead, you can continue.
We're looking at option 2 here, Mike? Yes, we are. So as you can see from alternate number 2, this is probably the least likely to happen, but based on information we have from Mass DOT, the engineering firm, and other organizations that are involved, the town common is protected natural heritage. So when you start talking about putting a street through the center of the town common, and just for those to make sure you understand where it is, it would be between the gazebo and the war monuments that are on the common. That would require some land taking. It would not involve any structures of any sort. So the yeah, that's pretty close. Yeah. So the as you can see from the diagram, the common probably would be bigger after, because you can take what's on the existing Mansfield Ave and could probably convert that to green space, but we haven't got that far yet. I will tell you that legally we would be challenged. We'd have to go through a number of legal steps, including legislative acts, in order for us to be able to do anything with this property. So the Traffic Safety Committee hasn't really put much emphasis on this because of the concerns that have been raised by others on the project.
I feel like those two, you're gonna love this one.
I'm an alternate number 3. Everybody ready for this?
Should we do it?
Massachusetts has now become the roundabout capital of the world. The latest technique that they use, I think some of you, if you go out on 118 and Route 44, over in Rehoboth, you'll see a very small scale roundabout being built over there. The purpose of this is it does create a better flow of traffic. It has a major impact on the center of town. Wheaton College is probably going to lose more from this than most of the other landowners in there, but the one thing about a roundabout is there's no egress. So if you get driveways coming on, like up on Library Square, you've got 2 Wheaton houses there, their driveway has to be moved somewhere else. You come around the curve, the doctor's house there loses one of the entrances to the house. The new library, which the young lady was here talking about earlier tonight, loses their entrance. If you look at the what says proposed shade use path on the top left, that's highlighted. Mr. Pernock, who just purchased the library, has just purchased most of that also. It's been divided off of the historic houses behind it, and he's purchased that chunk of land for additional parking. So he probably will lose most of his egress into the property. When you come around the other side, it doesn't really have an impact on the old bank site and the church, other than a bit of an easement issue, but other than that, it's not a big deal. Wheaton, however, loses the whole front of their property there, where their sign is today, for the most part. The Traffic Committee voted 6-5 to support this one, but I would caution you to do some additional research on it for a number of reasons. First of all, it does trigger the issues with the town common again, even though if you look at this, it probably would be a larger common than it is today. But the abutters around that, and the impact it's going to have on their properties, I would predict that this project would be tied up in court for many, many years, trying to straighten out some of the easements and some of the ways of getting onto some of this property. So this was the preferred 6-5 vote by the Traffic Safety Committee. Second one was going straight through to the right of the church, and the third, which I think had 2 votes, was to the center of town. Alternate number 1 costs about $7 million. Alternate 2 and 3 be $6 million. the impact on the community as far as our share of land takings varies with each project. The coming, like I mentioned earlier, coming through by the church, will have, the town will have to come up with very, very little money for land takings. The alternate two, which is to the common, does take a rather large chunk of land on the backside of that, the wheat houses on Mansfield Ave. And alternate number three is the most costly, because it takes a lot of the land that's going to be required. And the engineering firm indicated that we probably would, the town would probably have to put in some money in order to acquire the easements that would be necessary for alternate 2 and 3.
So the question, if I may, the question on everybody's mind at town meeting is going to be, which one is the least costly to the town itself? Have we talked about that?
Alternate 1.
Alternate one?
Yeah, the one that goes to the left of the church. Mr. Pernock is in the process of building a new building next to where the old bank was, Mansfield Bank. And we've had conversations with him because he's working through the process. And he's been working with us, and he actually backed his building back a few feet from that corner, so it would have an impact if we do decide to go that way. But the alternate one is the most expensive, but we don't have to make any contributions to it at this time.
Yeah, alternate number 1, and this goes back to my time on the planning board, geez, before Paul, actually, 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And even before then. And alternate 1 was, I think, the one we approved way back then. And then I think Kevin can I think you were on the board with that, weren't you? Really? Oh, gosh. All right. Anyone have any questions?
Just a couple of comments I wanted to make. I've been looking into this quite a bit myself. I've been on the traffic safety committee, and alternate number 3, the roundabout, aside from the access to some of the properties that are there now, viable properties, all of the buildings that are along Liberty Square now, they won't have any access out onto the rotary. They would have to all go out through the back and go out that Clark Recreation Road. That's how they would have access to any of their properties in there. And the same thing holds true for option number 2. There's a, you can see they have some drawings in here of how the traffic flow would have to go to get out of those properties. They would lose access. And access would be more difficult for the old library and the properties along that side of the road as well, trying to get over to the road without coming out into the intersection. One other thing I just want to bring up is that that intersection received a failing grade as it sits now. And with the different options, the best grade that it got was up to a B grade if we went with option 3. So.
Well, what were the grades of 1 and 2? I think you had said this before. If we went with option 1 or 2.
Grade, alternate number 2 would give it a C grade overall, and alternate number 1 would give it a C grade overall.
Okay. All right, yeah, my opinion hasn't changed on this one. I've been for the first option for quite a few years now. It's the least impactful to the residents in that area and the business owners.
I can also say, Mr. Chair, that both public safety officials that are on the traffic safety board were for option 3 because there's no cross traffic at all, and so there's no collisions into each other except for side to side. So, and the traffic they felt would move smoother to get through the center.
Okay. All right. Anything else? Good. All right. Thank you, Mr. Kimball. I appreciate it. All right. Next up, we have establishing a salary range for the town manager. Alec, you're up. If you want to discuss.
Okay, so basically, as vice chair of the search committee, talking with the chair and other members, our first meeting was last Thursday night. We, you know, part of the process was bouncing it back to, you know, our board here, the select board, for establishing the range for the salary for the next town manager. And with that being said, we are in agreement, the appropriate range should be 175,000 to 225,000 for the advertisement. We will be going over and finalizing a draft at our next meeting, April 3rd, which is a week from tonight. And then the posting will get posted. So that was the recommendation. We were in agreement on that salary range from our committee.
Okay. That's actually almost exactly what I had in mind personally. So, any other, Roger, anything to add?
No, I've looked at the handouts that they gave, and it looks like a proper range. I think you'll have a wide enough range where you'll have a decent number of candidates that you'll be able to picture.
Okay.
So with that being said, Mr. Chair, the, you know, that is obviously just a range. There's other, you know, benefits that factor into that, you know, and that will all be weighed. But this is just, we thought that was the best range to attract an appropriate candidate list, hopefully.
Okay. So I'll take a motion on that.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Marson?
I make a motion that we establish the salary range for the Town Manager Search Committee to be $175,000 to $225,000.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, excellent. And you're meeting next week, you said, right? On the 3rd?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, we have the Blue Apple Bus Company letter of support.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Marson.
So I've spoken with former state rep Jay Barrows about this, and he has been working on this since before the election, where he's no longer a state rep. So just to give a little bit of background, the Blue Apple bus runs from the train station in Mansfield up to Logan Airport. And it's been running for 2 years so far, and it's been supported through money from the federal government to seed money to try to get it so that it becomes viable. Just over the past 2 years, in January of 2024, they had 1,372 passengers, and in January of 2025, they had 1,920. So they had a 40% growth just in the month of January over the past year. So the issue that we have is that there are funds that are available, and we need to try to get let's see, from GATRA we have to send a letter to GATRA to Mary Ellen DeFrayis, who is the head of GATRA, to request the funds to come from MassDOT. So MassDOT has the money, GATRA needs to request the money, and it goes directly from GATRA to the Blue Apple bus. So what I'm suggesting is that we send a letter to Mary Ellen DeFrayis of GATRA to formally request the funds from MassDOT to support the 3rd year of the Blue Apple bus line from Mansfield to Logan.
So we would vote to send a letter to request a letter to be sent.
That's exactly what it is.
Okay.
Yep.
We just want to make sure we're on the same page. Okay. Yeah, I understand that.
And there have been state reps and state senators who have contacted GATRA to try to get them to move on this, and I'm just trying to get us to be in support of it as well.
Okay, I'm all for it. Yeah, Mr. Kimball, you can come on.
With the letter, if you could include something about the MBTA overlay, considering the fact that the state is mandating we have to have available transportation to and from the city, I think it would be important to include that and the fact that Mansfield, Norton, Easton, Foxborough, all use that bus. So if they're gonna mandate suggestions such as an MBTA overlay, then they should be giving us the transportation we need to make it happen. So that would just be in addition to what you guys are already projecting. I mean, your suggestions are great. I think it's the right way to do it. Well, let's make sure we put that little stinger in there just to remind them that we do have to comply with the MBTA.
Do you have to?
And just one other thing I wanted to make clear, that this money comes from the federal government from, they call it CMAQ, Congestion Mitigation and Air Quality Program, and that's where the money comes from.
Okay. All right, so motion to,
I made that motion to send that letter.
okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right.
So I'll get that letter together, and Mr. Chair, even if the whole board can't sign it, if you can sign it, just so we can send that
Absolutely,
over.
yeah.
Thank you.
Any other business? Nope. Okay, do you want to go through this memorandum of understanding between the town departments, or do we want to wait until we have a
I'd say
full
wait till
board?
we have a full board.
Okay, so we'll skip that again
And
tonight.
if you have any comments in between now and the next meeting, just get them over.
Okay,
All right.
sounds good. I'll forward this in. Okay, and we're going to, it was on there for the real estate exemption for veterans. That was the HEROES Act that I brought up a while back. We're going to hold off on that, at least for tonight, and we're going to discuss it further at a further date. And next we have the Springtown meeting articles.
Mr. Chairman?
Ms. Stevens.
So since you last met, the Finance Committee took up a few of the articles. The first one is Article 4, and this is an article that the Highway Department submitted. This is for tree services. So when they need large cranes to come in to take down trees that they can't take down, and also they use it for stump grinding. And it's $31,000 that they're seeking. The Finance Committee had a discussion on it, and they didn't vote, but they were more or less saying, why isn't this in the budget? And because it happens every year. So, I mean, that's something that you can think about two ways. So one, if it's an article, the money can only be used for the purposes that the article is for. So $31,000 could only be used for tree services and stump removal. So if at the, say in June, the trees, he needs something done and the tree company is busy and they can't get in, well, this money's still there in the article. He could have them come in July and use this money to pay them. If it's not that way, if it's in the budget, two things can happen. One, the money would go back to become free cash, or two, when we approve budgets, we approve salaries and expense. So technically, the $31,000 is going to be in his budget, but he could spend it on something else. So, I mean, I just think it's a better way to do it, to keep it as an article, but the FinCom seemed to be swaying towards putting this into his budget.
Mr. Chair?
Mr. Marson.
The only comment I would have on that is that you could say that about any amount of money that you're using for any particular purpose, like his snow removal, you know, that money is just in his budget. Or if he's doing some work on vehicles, you know, if we just took it out of the budget, then he wouldn't be able to spend it on something else. It could only be spent on that. I don't know why this tree service thing is a different animal, I guess, than the rest of his budget.
Because it's an extra that, you know, we've been utilizing each year that there's money available, that we'd approve this article and he could bring in tree services for large trees, and it can only be spent on those purposes.
Do we know what was used last year?
31,000.
The full amount was used? Or was that, what was,
That's what was approved. I'm not sure if he has any left. I'll check.
okay. Yeah, I'd like to find that out first, what's been left over in that for the past couple of years, before I vote on this, but.
The other articles they took up, well, they haven't taken up yet, but I'd like to see if you'll take this one up. Under the revolving funds, right now, Jared cannot accept any more mattresses down at the recycling facility because he's hit his cap in the revolving fund. The cap right now is $20,000 a year. This would lift that cap to $40,000 under Article 13. And I remind you that this $40,000 is money that people pay when they come in. So it's money that's collected down there at the recycle center. So this would allow him to spend money. If he had up to $40,000, he could still be taking mattresses right now. But right now he's done. He's hit his $20,000 cap.
So, Mr. Chair, if I can make a comment on this. This is dollar for dollar. You know, this is a huge benefit, you know, me being in the industry, for customers to be able to get rid of the mattresses. Massachusetts has a statewide ban on them. Myself owning a disposal company, I get, you know, a slap on the wrist and a letter from DEP every time a mattress, a box spring, or anything that is classified as restricted to be disposed of at any kind of material recovery facility. And this is a huge avenue and asset that Jared is running down there. It's a center to take those items that guys like myself, we can't take them ourselves to, you know, the recycling centers. But Jared is able to through this setup. It's a mini, you know, recycling center out back, and I think it's a huge asset to the town to have this. There's a lot of people that use it. That's why he's already capped. You know, he's already hit the cap because people do utilize it. It's a great resource for town residents, in my opinion.
So my question will be on the other revolving funds in this article. Has anything changed from last year?
No, just this one.
All right. The Council on Aging
We
spending limit
increased
was
it recently.
increased recently. Okay. Roger, anything from you?
So the only purpose of this article is just to increase the amount that he can take in, because it just goes into an account for him to spend it. So it seems like a no-brainer to me. It doesn't, there's no tax dollars involved. It's a revolving account.
A major point of note is the residents, you have to pay,
Right.
but it's a wash. You know,
Yep.
it's just a resource so residents don't have to drive all over the place. And it doesn't, you know, it's dollar for dollar covered. There's no cost to the highway department at all.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Marcy?
I make a motion that we recommend Article 13.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
All right. And the next article is Article 15. This is for special legislation. So this issue developed under the procurement laws. If you're doing work that's up to $50,000, you just have to see 3 prices and pick the lower price and hire them to do it. Well, this project turned out to be $84,000. So even though the highway department picked the low price, they did go through the whole bid process because it was over $50,000. So this work was done last summer, and this person has not been able to be paid because of the issue with procurement. So our attorneys are working with the legislature to prepare special legislation. They've done it before when this incident's happened in other towns to allow us to pay Ryan Asphalt for the work. The money's already appropriated, but we just can't pay him because of that glitch in the bidding process. And the FinCom voted 11-0 to recommend.
Okay, yeah, it's no brainer to me too.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Marson?
I recommend that we, I'm sorry, I'll make a motion that we recommend Article 15.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
And the next article is Article 18. The Finance Committee voted 11-0 to recommend. This is for $3,000 to the Highway Department to pick up discarded items on the road, side of the roads.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Marson?
just a question, Mike. Is there any chance there'd be money in that revolving fund that he's picking up mattresses with already?
I don't know, to be honest with you. But,
Capped.
and the reason this didn't come, the reason, I know why, we had this discussion before, that if people are being legitimate and they're going down there to pay, why should their money be going to pick up stuff on the side of the road? And then the other question, what came up, like the 31,000 about putting this in the budget, and we discussed how the fact is we like to have this at town meetings, so people realize we're spending money to pick up junk on the side of the roads that people dump.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Marson?
I make a motion that we recommend Article 18.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
And we did take off those articles, if you remember, the ones that were not going to be moved, rather than leave them on the warrant.
Okay, next we have the update on 55 West Main Street.
Yeah, so I did hear back from National Grid, and they're going to have their surveyors work to develop easements out in that area. I mean, right now, if you look at the sketch that you have in front of you, more or less, everyone drives down along the side of the Trent Memorial, and then they cut across through Mass Electric's property, and they go back into the back of where the senior center back parking was. So we want to establish permanent easement across there so we can access the salt shed and the water tower that are back there when we sell 55 West Main Street. And they said they're more than happy to work with us.
Okay, excellent. All right, select board report and mail, anything? All right, I approve the warrants as written, and we have an executive session, but I don't have the wording. Do you have the wording? Okay.
More or less, you can move to go into executive session under.
Okay. The executive session pursuant to General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, is to discuss strategy with respect to litigation in an open meeting may have detrimental effect on litigating position of the public body, and the chair so declares will be discussing, let's see, opioid litigation, the national opioid litigation. Oh, he needs a motion.
So moved.
I know it's gonna be,
Move.
it's word for word. It's,
Thank God it's that small.
I think you have it in your packet.
Okay.
It's not.
I move that the town of Norton withdraw its assent to amend its complaint in the national opioid.
No, that's what we're going to be talking.
Just what, more or less what Steve read.
Number one,
Make a motion that same thing that he just said?
to go into executive session as.
Make a motion, we go into executive session pursuant to General Law, Chapter 38, Section 21A3.
As outlined by the chair.
Yeah, as outlined by the chair.
And not to return to open meeting.
And not to return to open meeting.
Second.
Okay, and this is a roll call, so, Roger?
Yes?
Alex?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Okay, thank you, everyone. And apologies we started late.